Hey everyone, so for this week's video, I wanted to do a mod showcase on a mod that I really love because it can give your playthrough a completely new feel. This mod is RimCities by Cabbage, which adds huge cities that cover your entire map tile to the game. Now, this mod is one of those ones that I don't recommend leaving on all of the time, just when you want to do a playthrough with it, much like Zombieland or any of the mods that add children to the game. That being said, if you have not used this mod, you are genuinely missing out because it is really fun. So let's get into it. So RimCities adds 4 new starting scenarios to the game. The first 3 are all basically the same. You'll be landing in a huge city with all the same materials in each of these 3 scenarios. The only difference is the threat level of the city you'll be landing in. Abandoned city has some enemies around, a friendly city has some friendlies, no surprise there, and a ghost city is basically completely abandoned. Like I said, these are all super similar, so we'll just go through one of them, and I like Abandoned City best, so that's the one I'm going to feature in this video. Now, this part is very important. I don't want to put you off of this mod, so bear with me, but we are going to have to go into custom settings. You're going to pick your desired standard playstyle. For me, it's Cast on Strive, and then you're going to scroll down to Adaptation and turn on Wealth Independent Progress mode. This is because upon landing in one of these cities, your colony wealth is already going to be through the roof because wealth takes all items on the map into account, and you will have a lot of abandoned items hidden around your city. If you don't turn on Wealth Independent mode, the threats you get immediately after landing may be too intense to handle. I'm talking raiders with marine armor and LMGs marching around your map. The first time I played with this mod, I didn't realize this, and I got this raid just a few days after landing. What the fuck? How is the game gonna send me? I ended up fleeing the map entirely and then dying to like a bear attack 2 tiles over, I think. Not my proudest moment on stream. Another issue with high wealth is that your pawns will have higher expectations fairly early. Sometimes they start with moderate expectations, sometimes higher. I've even, I think, landed and already had sky high expectations. So you will not get that mood boost from extremely low expectations that you usually get at the beginning. If you want to offset this a little to mimic an unmodded crash landing, you can use this slider up here. And don't forget, you can always come back and remove it later once you get a little bit more established. Now, on the world map, you can see some little city icons. These are other factions in cities. If you're starting with one of those 3 city scenarios, any tile you land on will be a city, so you can just land anywhere you want. So right away when we land, we unfortunately already have a random enemy nearby. We'll deal with her in a second, but check out this map. It's amazing. The entire tile is covered in structures and roads, and most of it is undiscovered. Down here, it looks like we have a coast, and if you look around the map, you'll see a ton of random discarded items, along with corpses of enemies that have been dead for a varying number of days. All of these undiscovered areas may also have cool items in them as well, or living enemies ready to attack you. Let's just check out our starting wealth for fun, and yeah, we're already starting at about 160,000. So let's unpause, deal with Julia, and then I'll show you guys what some of these structures look like once we discover them. We can see that Julia can go inside undiscovered areas without revealing them to us, just like enemies can do in enemy outposts in the base game. My pawns are about to make quick work of dispatching her, and we're good. So now we can send Bill into a couple nearby rooms to check him out. There's nothing too interesting in either of these places. But this building feels pretty reasonably protected backed up against the hill like this, so I'm going to set up my initial quarters here and probably haul stuff to this larger building across the way and patch up the holes in it, of course. Remember to claim the buildings you want to use, otherwise enemies and wildlife can stroll right through all of these doors. One thing I advise against doing when you're playing with this mod is using Allow tool or right-clicking to unforbid all items on the map at once, because your pawns may wander into undiscovered enemy-filled buildings to haul something random. It's wiser in this starting scenario to manually unforbid things as you find them, but that's just my personal opinion. I also recommend creating an allowed area to confine people to keep them from wandering too far into undiscovered areas to use items that are contained within those rooms, such as Corinne is doing down here with this hoopstone ring. It's just a dangerous city, and you need to keep eyes on your pawns at all times at first. When you do find stuff that you want them to haul, like valuable things that are deteriorating due to being outdoors, like this huge stack of 8 advanced components, I can just allow them to be unrestricted again until they're done hauling. You can get a head start on electricity by bringing the half-charged batteries into your base, scavenge meals and drugs off of the corpses already scattered around. You probably won't even need to build any beds, tables, or chairs and can just go find some. You might even find some potential new colonists sealed up in cryptosleep caskets, large amounts of chem fuel, high-tech recreation items such as telescopes. Sometimes rooms reveal random wildlife or even workstations. It's really fun to explore your map and scavenge things to build your base from. It's always exciting too to find something extra valuable. Some of the abandoned structures have clear past purposes as well, and you can decide whether you want to use it for the same thing. Like here, this was obviously the jail in the city, whereas next door, this was obviously the hospital. I'd like to have a word with the architect responsible for designing this floor plan though. Doesn't really make sense to have to walk through every room to get into the next, but whatever. There's even an abandoned freezer with a few meals still good in it. So RimCities basically just gives you a really fresh and exciting starting map. It's fun to explore and it's fun to repurpose the existing structures as your colony grows. You will also get quests that have been customized to flow well with the mod, wherein the enemy outposts or factions you're visiting are replaced by cities. You may even get called by one faction asking for help in attacking another faction's city. This particular caravan to an enemy city did not go super well for me. But I just love the idea of being able to storm other factions' hostile cities. And I mean, it's a whole new giant map to explore. Lastly, let's look at that fourth scenario, the task force. This is not a classic RimWorld experience at all, but kind of like a challenge mode or a mini game. I highly recommend using a performance mod such as Rocket Man when attempting this scenario, otherwise I can almost assure you you'll experience performance issues. You start with 20 pawns that are all pretty OP and all have really good traits, Iron-Willed and Optimist, and you're going to be landing on a huge narrow city map. It's just really, really long. And you start at the bottom and you'll be advancing through it to try and capture the city by basically getting to the end of the map. The enemies you'll have to fight are high-tech and will drastically outnumber you. I've only tried this scenario once and it did not go too well for my little legion of pawns. I do not think we made it past like the first group of enemies. But I'd be interested in trying again, so let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing a challenge vid of me giving it the old college try. So that is it for this showcase of the RimCities mod. This mod is super fun when you're craving a new kind of start or if you're looking for a cool backdrop to play with the Zombieland mod on, perhaps. I also want to mention that this mod is compatible with one of my other favorite mods, Geological Landforms, so you can get some truly incredible maps, like just look at these. If you've played with RimCities, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. As always, thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you next time.